So in this segment, we're going to talk about Rees Mogg promising, the Brexit dividends are right around the corner. You've just got to send a bit more money to the Nigerian prince and you're going to see the massive benefits. His money's tucked away in a bank account and he just needs a bit of money to get it. And then after that, you'll be a millionaire. So coming soon, Brexit's big wins for Britain. People still believing this genius, honestly. So the EU will look at us in horror. Rees Mogg outlines his Brexit plan to transform Britain, except he didn't really give a lot of details apart from deregulation. That's about it. So Brexit will transform Britain and deliver such dividends that within a decade nobody will want to rejoin the EU, Rees Mogg has vowed. So you're going to have to talk about a massive improvement to living standards and GDP, which a 4% hit to GDP in the medium term, I don't know how you're going to overtake that. So we'll see what happens here. So Mogg said he would become a loud hailer for the benefits that follow from cutting ties with Brussels. He said many big wins were in the pipeline. It doesn't really name any though, not specifically. And the aim was to see significantly higher GDP and improve living standards. Now, riddle me this, guys, okay, and gals in the audience, right? Under the Tories, we've seen GDP be very stagnant. The COVID was an outlier. We saw GDP take a massive tumble and come back, but hasn't gone back to pre-pandemic levels. Okay, so if you want to claim that the economy is doing great now, it's rising really high, you have to put that in the context of it doing very badly and taking a massive hit. Okay, but under the decade of the Tories, GDP has been very stagnant, very low growth. In fact, we had a double dip recession back in, I'm going to say 2012. So does anyone believe that we're going to see significantly higher GDP, especially if we're taking a 4% hit in the medium term because of Brexit? I don't know about that, Chief. And improve living standards despite us seeing more and more poverty in the UK and the Tories trying to change the definition of poverty in order to get out of it, essentially saying, look, we've lowered poverty. It's like, mate, you just changed the meaning of poverty. You haven't done anything. So he said it will be impossible to get back because our economy will be so transformed that firstly nobody would want it. Again, that's not really true, is it? Like how much can you improve? Like it doesn't make sense. You're not, within the next 10 years, you're not going to be able to transform the economy a ton. I don't think so, unless you do massive deregulation and make huge changes. You're not going to see that. And he goes, this is the bit where is more important. Secondly, the EU would look at us in horror because we would not be following all of their petty rules. And again, he doesn't actually name any of these, quote, petty rules, which is really frustrating when you're trying to analyse an article. But point being is that, petty rules like what? The best you guys can come up with are bendy bananas, bats in the belfry, or bats in the attic. What else did you guys have? Nothing really more than that, as far as I know of. Rules around the working time directive, which actually helps workers because they don't have to work as much because their employers want them to run them into the ground with like 60-hour weeks. Again, like what petty rules are you talking about? Mogg told the Sunday Express that his job gives him the opportunity to put into practice what he argued in 2016. Cool. Where's that £350 million to the NHS then? Not seen that for a while. Where are all these levelling up funds and things like that you promised? All these replacements to the EU structural fund. Where are all the trade deals you promised? I'm not seeing them, Chief. He said, my feet are being held to the fire on what I said politically. And the thing is, right, Mogg's such a slippery character, like Gove, that he will probably give the runaround to a lot of journalists who won't be prepared to interview him properly. The Prime Minister created the job to tackle criticism that he lost focus on delivering Brexit, favouring issues like climate change instead. Yes, climate change, the thing that's going to cause us the most problems, rather than favouring Brexit, the thing that has caused us current problems. Mogg insisted that a lot of work has been going on already in maximising the benefits of Brexit, with big wins coming shortly. Again, you had about 2 years to show us some of these wins. Where they at? I'm not seeing them. He goes, there's a lot in the legislative pipeline that will deliver a Brexit dividend, whether that's the procurement bill. Because procurement's gone so great in the UK. We waste billions on PPE and things like that. Not great. I mean, I think I've read that under John Major's government, they tried to make reforms to procurement. Didn't really do anything. So, again, swing and a miss from Mogg. So that's strike one, we'll call it. Services reform, again, no specifics here. It is meant to be part of a bill, so maybe a pass. Gene editing, again, I wish my kids could be 6'2" and play centre back for Man United or something as well. But gene editing, a very dangerous road to go down for humans and for crops as well. Not going to be great. There's a reason why these things are outlawed in the EU. Probably not safe. And the bill for free ports. Yes, free ports. Yes. The thing that people in the Telegraph have been saying, the UK have changed so much that they've lost the meaning of free ports. And also, let's not forget that free ports don't actually help you do trade because they're normally exempt from trade deals. So, yes, that's 2 strikes there, really. Or should I say that's 3 with the gene editing. That's 3 strikes and you're out, Moggy. Much was being done, and perhaps people didn't know how much was being done because you guys haven't done anything. That's why. And much of my role is to be a loud hailer for it. So essentially, he's going to be the one running around with all the minor quote Brexit wins that they have to say, oh look, this gene editing thing is going to be great. This services reform is going to be great. This procurement bill, this free port, all of these things are going to be phenomenal. They're not really going to do anything for the ordinary person and will probably make life worse for us. But sure, okay, Mogg. After weeks of being under siege over partygate, this the whole reason why he has done this, why he's given Mogg this role, is to deflect away from partygate and the kind of other struggles that he's having in the Tory party. This is designed to deflect away from that, and Mogg's the perfect guy to do it because Mogg and Gove are the slimiest eels around. Mogg also urged his party to stick by the Prime Minister as the man to deliver on Brexit. Has he delivered what you guys promised though? Because I remember a person saying only a madman would leave the single market, and here we are. He goes, Boris Johnson has the charisma and flair to make the argument in a way that is attractive to people. I mean, yeah, he's got spin, lies and deflection. Those are great things, I guess. He's also good at cutting through the jargon to get the message through to the electorate, which is, was more, I think, Dominic Cummings and anything, get Brexit done, fund the NHS, all this nonsense, which people fall for. People love slogans, apparently, in this country, and will never look behind the curtain. Mogg's hope for a bonfire of red tape, which isn't going to happen. They've already downscaled some of this stuff around green energy and things like that, so this bonfire of red tape is not really going to be a bonfire. He'll also be looking at how to make regulations work better for businesses. Again, this is stuff we could have done whilst we're a member of the EU, but okay. And make the UK more attractive for them to have headquarters here. The only way you're going to do that is through massive lowering of taxes. And even then, a lot of companies won't set up headquarters in the UK. I think Shell are an outlier because the Netherlands were going to get them for certain climate change targets that they haven't met. So they set up shop here to avoid that kind of scrutiny, from what I remember. Could be wrong. But the simple fact is that companies will only do this for low taxes. And we've seen a lot of companies shift out their headquarters out of the UK. Places like Sony Europe have shifted out of the UK and gone into an EU member state. So again, we've seen headquarters leave rather than join us. The Institute of Economic Affairs report, which called for a new trade policy, would allow a unilateral recognition of EU rules should continue, even if the EU still declines reciprocity. And now, this report, the IEA report, right, talks about how the UK can unilaterally grant countries, equivalency. And so, without actually setting the metric of how will a country have equivalency with us, they haven't actually explained that bit. We'll be talking about that in a separate video, hopefully. There's a lot of videos for me still to do, but point being is for me to say that we're going to grant these countries equivalency, okay? So they're still going to face other non-tariff barriers like paperwork, so customs checks, rules of origins and all that stuff. So will it boost trade a bit? But the problem is, if you do this is going to allow lower end goods to come in. Because equivalency is to say, okay, we have around about the same standards or similar standards. So, we're cool, we can do more trade. But the simple fact is, which countries are you going to give this to? You give it to the EU, fine, that makes sense. You're going to give it to the US, without any kind of anything to balance the scale, should I say? Like, the US aren't going to grant us the same. So the problem is you're giving concessions at the jump. So when it comes to trying to get trade deals with these countries, they can say, look, you've already given us equivalency. Sure, there are still tariffs and things like that, but you've already given us the first step a way in helping us to boost our trade to you guys. So are we going to, give you guys equivalency? No, because you're going to have to offer us more. Essentially, it's like starting off a trade deal on -2 points, really. The minister also cited the procurement bill as a pivotal benefit of Brexit because it will allow smaller businesses to compete with corporations for government tenders. I mean, first of all, we already had this during the pandemic because you had very, very small limited companies with no actual history and very low assets getting huge government contracts over other well-established bigger companies in the UK. So that's a load of nonsense right there, especially when we've already covered the fact that under the major government they already tried to change the procurement rules and they didn't do anything or didn't do much. Mogg went on, our aim should be to see that our GDP growth trend rate can be significantly higher than it currently is. Gee, I wonder why it's currently stagnant. Who's been in charge for the last 12 years, Mogg? Is it you guys? He goes, you can see the ability of business to come into the UK to increase because it will be a dynamic and effective economy. Again, buzzwords which mean very little. He added, the challenge is how do we make people's lives better? I mean, not through deregulation. I'll tell you that for free. That's how you make people's lives worse. That's how you increase environmental disasters. That's how you get people with more health conditions because you allow in products and you manufacture products that aren't good for people. You allow more and more carcinogens. You start deregulating, you start getting more polluted water. So again, the way that they're going about increasing GDP is not going to work, and it's going to make living standards worse in this country. It's very much what Thatcher did in the 1980s, but in a different context. Ah, yes, Thatcher, wasn't she the one that joined or helped to create the single market? That Thatcher. The minister who was promoted, he wasn't promoted, he was demoted. From what I've read, he was actually demoted, not promoted. So the Express here, or should I say the Jacob Rees-Mogg fan club paper, will be carrying out a tour of the country at taxpayers' expense, most likely, to meet members of the public and hear their proposals. And again, going to the public and asking them, what are the public going to tell you? Oh yeah, I want kettles with more that draw more electricity or more powerful hair dryers. Like what are the public like? The public don't know what the EU govern over and don't. The public don't understand EU directives. Government is not the centre of all knowledge and wisdom, which is true. That's why you bring in experts to help you guys. Actually, there is a much greater wisdom in the British people as a whole. I'm not even going to address that. That's not worth my time. That's why I'm so keen for the British people to tell me what is it in their daily life that the government does that makes their life harder. I'll tell you right now what the British people do that makes their lives harder. They vote for your party. That's what. So yeah, if you guys could liquidate as a party, that would be great. That would make a lot of people's lives easier. And if I can, I will push to get rid of that. True. Can you get rid of your party, please? Thank you. There's nothing more I really wanted to cover in this article by the looks of things. But yeah, what more can you say apart from the fact that this guy's looking at probable massive deregulation? Because the phrase petty rules doesn't mean anything. If the EU have rules like, say, you can't dump raw sewage in the waterways, right? Would Rees-Mogg call that a petty rule because water companies want to make more profit? I don't know. And how do you define a petty rule? That's the problem. And Rees-Mogg will probably define most rules as petty rules. You'd have to ask him, and journalists don't do a good job of questioning him. To be fair, I'd probably struggle because he's a proper slippery eel. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.